Hello and welcome incoming WashU students and families. My name is Catherine Pei, and I want to welcome you to our pre-recorded edition of the Summer 2025 webinar series. I am joined by my colleague Jennifer Powell, Assistant Director for Student Financial Services. Thank you for joining us for this conversation on student finances. I'm going to turn it over to Jennifer so she can give you an overview of financial aid.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Catherine. I appreciate it. So today I kind of want to just talk about some important things that you should be keeping an eye out for over the summer before we all join together in the fall semester here. So the first and kind of most important things that I did want to highlight is the different portals that you'll be using. First and foremost, NetPartner is the financial aid portal. When you apply to WashU as an applicant, you're using WashU's Pathway account. And once you officially become a bear, you'll be transitioned to be using NetPartner for the remainder of your undergraduate studies. That's where you're going to view your financial aid offer letters. If there's any manual things that you have to accept, such as your work study, that will also be available for you to accept the offers on there as well. If there's any documents that we need, this is where this will be posted for you to view any documents and then also upload things that we may be requesting. It'll also highlight who your SFS counselor is. We are assigned for all 4 undergraduate years, so you'll be locked in with your current financial aid counselor throughout that entire time. And then there's also a space for you to upload any missing documentation as well. Sometimes when you fill out a FAFSA, you may be selected for verification, which does include some documentation that you have to provide. And because it's a secure portal, this is where we would prefer for those documents to be uploaded. There's also a portal called Handshake. If you were awarded any federal work study funds, or even if you weren't awarded federal work study funds and you just want to look at any type of job postings or any available jobs on campus, the Handshake is where you can create your own profile, you can meet with a career coach, and most importantly, this is the portal where that you'll use to search for and apply for jobs, look for research opportunities, co-ops, things like that. Workday is going to actually be, I would refer to it a little bit as like a billing portal. That is where you'll be able to view and pay your actual balance online if you owe anything to the university. Because the student is specifically the one that is assigned to the bill, the student does have to set up permissions for any parents or friends or anyone else to be able to view their bill as a third party. And then it will also give them permission to actually make payments towards the bill as well. This is also where you would set up direct deposit for any type of refunds or any disbursements that you may receive. It also can link you to the BearBucks portal, so you can also view, add, or change any BearBucks information. And then this is also where you would update your personal information, like if there was a change of address, a change of phone number, and you can also register for classes as well. The way that WashU does a billing process is in 2-semester increments. So again, as a reminder, parents or guardians do have to be set up as a third party in that friends and family section in order to even access the billing statement. The billing statement for each semester will have tuition, fees, housing, and food. There may be some other miscellaneous expenses that are charged to the billing account throughout the semester. So we do send a monthly statement. Miscellaneous things could be like adding BearBucks to the account or a parking pass or trying to think of other things such as additional like late fees or lockout charges if you're locked out of your dorm room. So every single month, starting in July, you'll get a new billing, a new bill basically, and then that bill would be due on the 20th following that next month. If the bill is not paid, there would be a 2% late fee that is assessed, but you can also spread out the monthly payment amounts for the semester instead of just paying one flat payment as well. So there are options to be able to extend those monthly payments throughout the semester instead of having it due on the 20th of that month. A few things that you'll be potentially receiving notifications about throughout the summer as well is going to be one for the technology grant. Any student who comes from a family of income that is 200,000 or less is going to be receiving a technology grant for their first year. It is $1,525 and it is for the fall semester only. You would access this fund through the account that's located in our Danforth campus store. And basically, you would use this technology grant to purchase a computer that will meet their minimum requirements for an undergraduate study. And it does also have to include a 4-year incident warranty as well. We will be sending notifications out about how to place your order, where to pick up your laptop from, closer to the end of July, the beginning of August. But you do have until December 1st in order to use this grant before, unfortunately, it'll be gone. So keep an eye out on your email throughout the summer. We'll be sending notifications about when the technology grant will be available and what steps you need to take in order to order. Another thing is that if you are awarded any startup grants, this grant specifically is provided to students with a family income of 75,000 or less. This provides 1,500 towards cost of startup supplies, and it also has an additional grant of 1,550 that eliminates the summer earnings expectation. The startup grant can be used in combination with the technology grant. So if there is a computer that you're eyeing that may be a little bit more than the 1,500 that we would be providing for the technology grant, you can apply some of these startup funds towards that as well. The breakdown of the startup grant is going to be there is a $250 bookstore each semester, fall and spring. That'll be located in the bookstore as a credit. And then the students that receive the startup grant funds will also get a $500 refund each semester as well. That refund is basically going to the student directly to help them buy maybe their first year supplies like dorm supplies, bed sheets, shampoo, conditioner, decorations, things that you're going to essentially need in order to start your first year off at college. Since you can use the startup grant in combination with the technology grant, this also kind of outlines a little bit more things that can be used. So startup grant essentially would provide funding for some housing supplies, books, any winter clothing, or any extra school supplies. And that summer earnings replacement grant, even though it's not part of the refund disbursement, it doesn't have a credit at the bookstore, essentially that 1550 will apply directly to the bill in itself. Now, if your total financial aid, so your scholarships and grants that apply to your bill exceed what your actual bill cost is, you would also receive a refund for that difference. And then you would use that refund for essentially the same thing, any housing supplies, books, clothing, transportation to get to and from for breaks and things like that. One thing that WashU does that's really great is we will stack outside scholarships. So just because you're getting an outside scholarship doesn't mean that you're going to have that scholarship be replaced. We essentially will pack or stack outside scholarships on top of one another all the way up to the total cost of attendance. So if you're receiving 100% of financial aid from our end, any outside scholarships will be stacked up until we hit that cost of attendance. Once we hit that cost, we do have to start making adjustments so we fit within that window. But first, we always remove any work study funds because we would much rather you have the free money than have to work for any of those funds. So if you're getting any outside scholarships, it never hurts to reach out to your assigned financial aid counselor to ask how this will be applied, what would potentially be reduced, if anything would be reduced, and how that process would work in relation to any refunds as well. I would recommend reaching out to your SFS counselor for anything really financial aid related. So if you have questions about your financial aid offer or bill, or something just doesn't look right, maybe you saw your financial aid offer letter and it doesn't look like the same thing that's being applied to your balance, that is what our office is for. We can also answer questions about payment and financing options if your financial aid does not cover the total cost of attendance and you do have a contribution that's expected. We can always discuss with you options such as federal or private loans, maybe a monthly payment plan instead. So definitely reach out to us if you have questions related to that. Also, if there are any updates to your current financial situation, we understand that the applications that you use, the FAFSA and the CSS, are being calculated using the prior year's tax return. Lots of things happen between 2023 and today. So reach out to us if there have been any changes to your family circumstances so we can see how that may impact your financial aid. We also offer a daily counselor on duty Zoom, which is a Zoom option for a couple of hours that is just open. If you have general questions, you're welcome to hop in when your assigned counselor is available or just at any point in time when that is open. But we also have counselors always available in the office to be able to meet you in person if you just want to walk in, or if you have you're calling and you have a question and maybe your assigned counselor isn't available, there is a counselor on duty that would be able to answer your questions in that time. You can also schedule appointments with your SFS counselor. Most of us have an availability on our website that you can click on our name and click on schedule an appointment. You can also call the general financial aid phone number and ask one of our service representatives to schedule an appointment with your assigned counselor as well. Aside from the counselor on duty, which is kind of used more for, I have a really quick question that I need an answer for right this second, or there's an emergency and I need to discuss that with someone right now. Appointments are really kind of ideal for setting up a time where you can talk out things back and forth with your assigned counselor. Usually they're scheduled between 15 and 30 minutes. If you do want to have an in-depth conversation about your situation, or if you have a significant amount of questions, scheduling appointment is usually your best bet. That way you have that scheduled time to be able to get all of your questions asked. We do also offer walk-ins. We are in the Summers Welcome Center in the ground floor in room 020. We are here Monday through Friday from 8:30 a.m. until 5 p.m. Central Standard Time. You do not have to make an appointment. You're welcome to walk in at any time during those hours. But again, if you have something that you do want to have additional time to discuss with your counselor, I recommend scheduling an appointment so you have that time together for sure. These are all of us in the SFS counselor that's assigned to students. We service students based on the first letter of their last name. Me, for example, I service students with the last name beginning with Q through Z. Again, we have other counselors available, such as Vicki and Zach. So if you do have general questions and if your counselor is out of the office or just not available, you can also reach out to any one of us and we'd be more than happy to assist you. And essentially, that was really all that I had to kind of discuss what things you should be looking at over the summer, how to get in contact with us. So I'm going to open up the floor if anybody has some questions about what we discussed or just any other questions that you may have that's financial aid related.
Jennifer, thank you so much for that great information. We do have a couple of commonly asked questions. I know you covered some of this, but just to reiterate. So the first one is, when would I find out about my technology grant and how would I know how to order that computer?
Yeah, absolutely. So we actually like to announce the technology grant and we like to direct students to start ordering them during Missouri's tax-free weekend, which happens in early August. So towards the end of July, we will send out an email that gives a very, very intricate step-by-step on how to order your laptop, where it's going to be available for pickup, and when you would pick it up, which is usually move-in day. So biggest thing, keep an eye out on your email because that's where that conversation is going to be headed towards.
Great, thank you. And you talked about the startup grant, the summer earnings grant, and the technology grant. Can you clarify, do I get that every year?
So the technology grant, startup grant, and summer earnings grant are our first year grants. So these are only going to be awarded to your first year. We don't do them after that first year. So second, third, and fourth years won't have these grants specifically, but we're still meeting demonstrated needs. So that doesn't mean students are losing out on any type of financial aid. It just won't be in the form of these grants specifically.
Thank you. And then the last question is, you talked about the student financial aid counselors and how we each have one based on our last name. Is that the person I reach out to if I have questions about an outside scholarship?
Absolutely. We also have an outside scholarship department that usually we would loop in whenever we get those questions that are asked. I like to route it through the counselor so that way when we receive it and we know what your aid has been, we would be able to explain, hey, you already are getting 100% of cost of attendance being covered. Therefore, it will decrease some of WashU's aid. Or if there is already a gap remaining, we would be able to say, perfect, we'll add this right on top. So we can counsel the students before they actually have that outside award be posted to their account via that department.
Thank you so much, Jennifer, for all those answers and the really helpful information you shared today. So students and families, we hope that you found this video informative and continue to enjoy our webinar series. For additional information and resources, check out the new students and families websites. Thank you, and we look forward to seeing you in the fall.